Thank you for joining us. And before we get started with today's video, if you guys like what you're seeing and hearing from the Locked On Senators podcast, go ahead and hit like, smash the subscribe button so you can be the first to know about Sens content. Now, we're going to be doing a ton of these prospect profiles, so if you agree this is someone the Sens should look at or steer clear, leave your comment below so we can hear from you. Now, we got 64 of these, so let's get into it.
Coming in at number 32 on our Locked On Senators draft rankings with an average rank of 37 from the Ontario Hockey League's Mississauga Steelheads, Luca Del Bel Belluz.
Del Bel Belluz. I gotta emphasize that again. Ross, when I was making my notes, I kept switching up where the Bell and Del went, but it is Luca Del Bel Belluz from the Mississauga Steelheads. He had an incredible season, Ross, and he was. We talked about it in yesterday's episode. He was another.
Zhilkin.
Pardon?
With Zhilkin.
Yeah, another rare late 2003 birthday that allowed him to have a full OHL season under his belt. And to say it was underwhelming would be an understatement. I mean, 58 games, 1 goal, 5 assists. Okay, keep that in mind. 6 points in 58 games. Now let's flip to this season. This is not your old Del Bel Belluz. This is the new version, the updated 2.0 Del Bel Belluz. 60 games played, 30 goals, 46 assists. Ross, your math is a little wrong on the graphic because that says 70 points. If my math is correct, that equals 76 points.
Damn it.
That is an impressive bounce back season for the Mississauga Steelheads centerman who sits at 6 feet, 175 pounds.
Oh, that actually makes me so mad.
Sorry.
76 points in 60 games.
I don't want to do Del Bel Belluz dirty.
I don't want you to do Del Bel Belluz. I've done what, 34 of these now. I got to be better. Got to get it going forward. But what I can tell you, these rankings are all correct, and we've got another wild range for you. We've got Craig Button having him at 16th on his list, and Elite Prospects has him at 75th on theirs. I think the majority leans towards Craig Button. You've got Corey Pronman at 25, Chris Peters at 24, and Bob McKenzie at 37, with Scott Wheeler coming in at 45. Tony Ferrari does not have him in his top 32, which is where his cutoff was initially. So we've got an average of 37 on this ranking. He's a 6-foot centerman with 175 pounds. Pilsy, lots to like, including the shot that allowed him to reach 30 goals.
Yeah, and he finished second on his team in scoring, only 1 point behind the leader of his team. And he does have a good shot, Ross, but I kind of found it was more his skating that I was focused on because, again, we mentioned it. When you say good skating, that doesn't always mean top speed and that he's going to be speeding in school zones going over 40 kilometers an hour on the ice. Yeah, that was a Parley saying I love. And but it's more his agility and his edge work, which I think sometimes is underrated. So combine that with the fact that he has good hands. Bob McKenzie, a rare, it's hard to find quotes from Bob McKenzie as he doesn't quote much from his cottage drinking margaritas. But Bob McKenzie said that he has the best hands in the draft.
Whoa.
And now combine that with great edge work, Ross. Del Bel Belluz is out there making defenders look silly. He can stop up and pivot and get around guys easily while stick handling with the puck, and defenders are just being turned around every which way. They're looking for their jock strap up in the rafters by the time he's already by them. So that is an impressive skill for him, I saw.
Yo. What I love about Del Bel Belluz is the fact that he was a third rounder into the OHL. All these other guys were talking about top 10, top 15, top 20 picks. No, third rounder into the OHL, a C-level prospect at the start of this season, and able to just fly into the mix of being a first-round talent. He plays power play. He plays penalty kill. He's a well-rounded player, and he competes every single shift. Now, the one thing you say his skating's great. I think that his top speed is good. I'd like to see a little bit more in his first step. When his compete level's there, he wants to battle for these pucks. But sometimes I found when the D got it on the half wall, they were able to skate 1 or 2 steps, and just he would have to resort to a stick check because he couldn't quite reach him in time for the body. I want to see him work on those first 2 explosive steps and get that right where it needs to be. But otherwise, like, he's got a package that an NHL team is going to be excited to see in terms of playing on both ends of special teams, as I mentioned, but also playing that premium position. He's a guy, to me, he will be a centerman, whether it's at the top of an AHL lineup, at the bottom of an NHL lineup. To me, what you're getting with him is the sum of all the parts kind of adds up to be this first round pick. I don't think it's anything like Jagger Firkus, where it's just like, holy, this guy just dangles everybody. But it's just like the sum is greater than all the parts with Del Bel Belluz.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I like, he was a first line center for the Steelheads. He plays a 200-foot game, so I think, like you said, that top speed isn't quite there, and maybe he has to resort to using his stick more defensively. And it just seems that every single scout, like at the end of each scouting report, usually there's like a conclusion, and each scouting report I saw, the conclusion was, this guy's probably going to be a third line center. Probably not much better, probably not much worse. Like, that's kind of where everyone saw him. So I think he could stay at center, but I don't see a lot of bursting potential here. So, like, higher floor, lower ceiling for me.
Yeah, whereas this is where it's interesting, because we're doing this average rank, and like, it only takes one entity to be super low
outlier
on him.
Yeah, exactly.
To push it all the way down. Maybe next year we'll do it Olympic style. We'll take out the best and the least, and probably get a better average that way, because like Owen Beck, who I mentioned at the start of the show, I would take Owen Beck over Del Bel Belluz every day of the week.
Me too,
he's
probably
7 picks behind, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's some other guys a little bit lower who I'm looking, and that's where it's hard for me to project these guys and give them a higher star rating than before, because like there's multiple players here that we had in the late 30s, early 40s, even as I'm pulling up the list. Like who would you rather between Hunter Haight is another one, where it's like, for me, like, these two are probably comparable, and Hunter Haight was like 3 days ago, which is what, like 20 prospects the way we're going. But to me, yeah, it's just like, he doesn't have that one skill that just like really catches my attention, and maybe he develops that. But again, he's one of the earliest birthdays in this draft. We'll pull up his elite prospects page here if I can find it as well, and then we'll be able to go from there. But where do you have him on the star rating for the Ottawa Senators?
He's November 10, 2003 birthday, Ross,
yeah, I've got
just
it
for
right
reference. Here. Okay, perfect.
Could have told you he's from Woodbridge, Ontario, just for the name.
I think, look, Del Bel Belluz's second season was absolutely amazing. Like, what a breakout season to go from 6 points to 76, like a 70-point increase in only 2 more games. You got to applaud that. So congrats, Del Bel Belluz. That is amazing, and that's going to help you out in the draft for sure. I think he can be an effective player in transition because of the combination of his edge work and his nice hands. The Bob Father says best hands in the draft. That's a big deal. I would say that's a defining attribute, but I don't think he's someone the Sens should target. Like you said, I think there's guys around this area that play a similar style of game that maybe don't have as amazing type of hands, but they complement it better with a little bit better top speed, a little bit better defending, and you can kind of agree that that's worth more in total. So for me, I got Del Bel Belluz at 3 stars. Like, nice player, doesn't really jump out at me though.
I'm a little worried about the lack of production towards the end of the year. Like, yeah, you scored 30 and 68, but then only 1 goal in 10 playoff games when the chips really count. His team still made it out of the first round, but at the same time, that's a bit of a red flag for me. I mean, it's obviously a team game, but to me, it's like, okay, if you really wanted to like cement your draft stock as a first round pick, go out there and put the team on your back. I've got him at 2.5 stars here going into the first round. I got to take the Bob Father's word for it, but I will say, just based on the highlights I saw, like, there were a few dangles, but like, to me, he wasn't like ripping players apart to shreds. So I'll hesitantly say 2.5 stars. I think that I could talk myself into it as I would, but to me, there's better options in this spot available, and I'm still on the Owen Beck trade coming out of the OHL. His teammate, right, in Mississauga? There you go. So you've got a direct comparison there with Owen Beck.